All right, so today we're jumping into critic Robert Daniels' review of Bugonia. And if you've seen anything by director Yorgos Lanthimos, well, you already know to expect something pretty strange. This review really gets into what makes this super bizarre dark comedy work.
Wow. I mean, what an opening line, right? Daniels just immediately sets this perfectly sardonic, dramatic tone that, as you're about to see, absolutely captures the spirit of the movie. It's a block comedy, for sure, but one with a very, very bleak heart. So, what in the world is this film about? Well, the premise is where this whole bizarre journey really kicks off. It's all centered on this wild conspiracy theory that, you guessed it, spirals completely out of control. And yeah, the premise is every bit as wild as it sounds. You've got these two cousins who kidnap a huge biomedical CEO because they are 100% convinced she's an alien who wants to destroy all of humanity. I mean, it is the perfect setup for what Daniels calls a casually sardonic black comedy. Okay, so let's meet our kidnappers. First up, we've got Teddy, played by the amazing Jesse Plemons. He's the ringleader, a paranoid, kind of smutty beekeeper who's just totally fueled by conspiracy podcasts. And then you've got his impressionable cousin, Donnie, along for the ride. And their plan? Oh, it's just as strange as their theory. It involves this weird cleansing ritual they think will get them ready to save the world. So from that point on, the movie basically throws these characters together and sets the stage for the main event, a really tense, but also darkly funny interrogation that takes place in a basement. And this is where you really see two completely different worlds collide. On one hand, you have Teddy and Donnie living in this cozy but worn-down house, wearing these filthy silver tracksuits. And then on the other hand, you have Michelle, the CEO played by Emma Stone. Her world's a sterile, modernist home. Her routine is all vitamins and treadmill workouts. Theirs is, well, it involves chemical castration. You really can't get more different than that. And really, this is the heart of the movie. After the kidnapping, Michelle is chained to a bed, and the whole film just kind of settles into this one basement, focusing almost entirely on the psychological chess match between Teddy and his prisoner. And wow, that battle is just a masterclass in acting. You've got Emma Stone's character, Michelle, using this passive-aggressive corporate speak that just drives Teddy up the wall. And you watch Jesse Plemons as Teddy just completely devolve from this confident judge into a nervous guy brandishing a shotgun. It's this ferocious ball leap back and forth. And Donnie's in the middle, adding these perfectly timed change-ups. But hey, the conflict isn't just in what they're saying. You also have to look at how the director, Yorgos Lanthimos, is using his camera to frame this whole power struggle. So, according to the review, Lanthimos makes this really fascinating visual choice. He often shoots Teddy from a low angle, which, makes him look powerful, almost monstrous. But then he shoots Michelle from a high angle. That's a classic way to make a character seem small and totally vulnerable. And that brings us right to the critic's main question. Why would you use the visual language of the persecuted on a big pharma CEO? I mean, she's a figure of corporate power. Daniels even notes that with her bald head and wide eyes, she starts to look a bit like Joan of Arc. And that choice right there is so key to the film's moral ambiguity. Now, even though the visuals might be a little tamer than what we're used to from Lanthimos, the feeling is still just incredibly intense. The review points out how the lighting turns that basement into a total hellscape, and this booming score just creates this really abrasive, kind of hellish atmosphere. All right, let's talk about the emotion that is driving this entire story. Because underneath all the dark humor and the weirdness, this is, at its heart, a really, really angry movie. Yep, it's as simple as that. Robert Daniels says the driving force of Bugonia is just pure rage. And it's not just Teddy's anger. It's this energy that feels like it's in every single frame of the film. But this rage isn't just chaotic. No, the film is actually very deliberately structured. It's built around a 3-day countdown to a lunar eclipse. Teddy's convinced that's his deadline to break Michelle and save the world, which gives the whole story this really clear, urgent 3-act structure. So what exactly is Teddy so angry about? Well, his rants touch on some pretty real-world anxieties. Corporate domination, techno-enslavement, the poisoning of the world, and especially the destruction of bees, which is a huge deal for a beekeeper. And then there's the most personal reason, a drug trial that he sure harmed his mother. Okay, so we've got the anger, we've got the structure, we've got the amazing performances, which brings us to the most challenging part of this whole movie,
It's really murky, ambiguous message. Like, what are we supposed to take away from all this? And that's the big question the film absolutely refuses to answer for you. Who are the real heroes here? Is Teddy this righteous warrior fighting a corrupt system, or is he just a dangerous, delusional conspiracy theorist? And what about Michelle? Is she an evil alien mastermind, or just a victim of his madness? Lanthimos basically says, you decide. So, the review lays out 3 different ways you could read this whole puzzle. First, maybe they are class warriors, and the film is saying we need heroes to fight corporate greed. Or, second, maybe they're just delusional conspiracists, which makes the film's message pretty cruel and cynical. And then there's a third option. Maybe Lanthimos is actually siding with Michelle, trying to make us think about the role of Big Pharma in a more complex way.
And the movie keeps this tension going by never, ever confirming if Michelle is actually an alien. It's a deliberate choice, and it makes Teddy's passionate, righteous anger feel almost overwhelming, because you're just never sure if he's right or completely insane. But ultimately, Daniels argues that no matter how you read the plot, is she an alien, is she not, the film's real message lands right here. It's looking at all sides of this fight and basically concluding that there is no force as destructive as good old human selfishness. And so the review leaves us with this final, pretty haunting question. It's a really provocative thought that gets right to the heart of Bugonia's bleak worldview. If we can't cast away our own selfishness, do we actually deserve to just peter out? A pretty chilling thought to end on.